Hello there, many thanks for joining us on Joy Amore Live this beautiful day. As usual, I'm really excited to be here, especially as every year the world pauses to celebrate the International Women's Day. This year is no different. We would be celebrating that event on the 8th of March every year, and this year it's going to be on Sunday. However, we are already inundated with several events, workshops, seminars, again discussing the women's issues. Conversations around gender equality, women's leadership, and economic inclusion are once again taking center stage. While progress has been made globally, many women across Africa still faces systemic barriers that limit their access to opportunities, leadership spaces, and justice. Right, joining me right now is a distinguished legal practitioner and gender advocate who has been working to change that narrative. She's the convener of the EntrustHer initiative and Nigerian country chair for the G100 Global Networking Wing, a global platform connecting influential women leaders working to advocate empowerment, collaboration, and inclusive development. Now, through her work in law, advocacy, and international collaboration, Joy Amore continues to champion initiatives that amplify women's voices, strengthen legal protections, and create opportunities for women and girls to thrive. And she's also received global recognitions for her work, including honors from the Women Economic Forum and the Global Excellence Award. Today we'll be discussing state of women's leadership, the structural barriers, and what still exists right now that must change to create more inclusive future for women across Africa. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. Now, you, among many women, are going to be celebrating the International Women's Day. But before we get into that conversation, let's just get to what do you look, when you look at the leadership landscape and you look at the struggles of the young girls, I mean, what they think of when they think of leadership, and the struggles of women as well. In your words, what do you think is wrong? How do you even see the society?
I would say when it comes to women in Africa, Nigeria to be specific, and leadership, there is that gap. There is that gap that has existed over time. Knowing that we're in a patriarchal society, and then the woman is born disadvantaged. Unfortunately. So it is a struggle for the woman to become all that she wants to be. Of course, she has societal barriers to struggle with. She has cultural norms. You know, there are some parts of the country where you're being told that the highest you can be is to be married.
The wife.
To be a wife.
Wow.
I mean, that's a limitation on its own, because as young girls, I'm sure for women today as young girls, you had dreams, you had aspirations, you had things you wanted to become, and then because of the narrative that we've been sold, you see that over time, women begin to accept this narrative unconsciously.
I mean, if you're told something over and over, it's only natural that it will become your reality.
Yes. So they accept this unconsciously without knowing, and they start living in that deception. There is more to a woman than just the four walls of a home. Don't get me wrong. Being a woman in a home is also a leadership position.
Absolutely. It takes everything to you know, show that leadership in coordinating children. You've seen that trend where men are like, oh my goodness, my wife left me with the kids for an hour and I'm losing my mind.
Absolutely. Women are powerful people and who can multitask. You can juggle 101 things, and which unfortunately male folks cannot. Like I said, leadership is not just a title, it is a way of life. It is not restricted to executive C-suite office. You are a leader anywhere you find yourself. I mean, for a woman, I mean, the highest leadership position, in my opinion, is that of leading your home and leading the children who later become in the society. So that is a leadership position on its own. But the deficit we have actually is that women themselves need to begin to work on themselves to become all that they need to be. If you say you want to be a leader, you must be well equipped for that leadership position.
Exactly.
There is a lot of clamor, a lot of organizations, even government institutions, individuals have put in so much to ensure that, you know, our voices are heard as women and we are given a seat at the table. But my question is, are women really ready for what they are asking for? It is not enough for you to ask for a seat at the table. You must be well equipped to occupy that table.
So I often look at these issues and think, is it a chicken or egg, a chick or egg issue? What comes first? Because women have been deprived economic opportunities, which is now giving them, making them change themselves with their own hands. So what prepares them? What should we do intentionally to prepare them? Women do not even know the role they can play in society. That's unfortunately what has been hammered into their head for so many years. So what do you suggest comes first? Is it the awareness that you can do this and the economic empowerment that must follow to give you the confidence that, okay, I do not need, I have what it takes, I can express myself, I can get, I understand what society needs and I know I have what it takes? Or is it women now just waking up to say, you know what, I need to do this to learn? Because if you sometimes not plunge your both feet in the water, you won't know how wet it and deep it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the first thing is reorientation. Is the reorientation.
Right.
Yes, the renewal of the mind. It's a mindset thing. When you've been told something over and over again, you begin to live that lie without even knowing, unconsciously. So women need that reorientation, that reset, to enable them understand that there's more to you than just being a domestic leader, or how you put it. To, you know, there's more to you than just taking care of the home and taking care of the children. There's more to you than just cooking the food and just ensuring the home. There's more. You can become more. You can't be limited by that. I mean, if you have dreams and aspirations, you can become that.
But when you also see the statistics to say over 20 million young Nigerians are out of school as we speak, and more than 65% of that number are the girl child. Not just because their parents are unable to afford their schooling, but because this is what you just mentioned now. This feeling that your girl child is eventually going to end up in a man's home and may not amount to much. So why would I bother sending her to school, right? So how do we bridge that? And I'm not just talking about civil society now. We'll get there, but the intentionality of having government come into this particular issue we have in society to do more in ensuring that every child expresses her rights to education.
I mean, it's a basic fundamental human right for every child, regardless of gender, to have access to quality education. It's just the minimum. It's the bare minimum. And every child, regardless of that gender, must be able to access the education. So government should be able to create the enabling environment for girls to thrive, not just for boys. And there also has to be like an advocacy campaign to the communities, to the families, because this thing starts from the family and also flows to the communities. And you know, most times families are influenced by the communities,
of course,
by the community leaders, by cultural values and norms. And then some cultural values and norms also supports that the girl child should be seen and not heard. The girl child should not aspire too much. You don't have to be ambitious. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious. There's nothing wrong in dreaming big, in wanting to become, okay? So there has to be that advocacy from the grassroots, from the family unit to the communities, to the community leaders, the gatekeepers. Those are people who influence decisions in the home. And when that when the advocacy starts, then we can now begin to tax the government to create an enabling environment for this to have, for the girl child to have access to education, to implement the Child Rights Act,
Right.
to ensure proper implementation. It is not enough to say, oh, you are a party to, you know, the charter.
Of course, you know, when it comes to Africa,
Yes.
we are treaties, we
Yes.
are pacts,
Of
we are
course.
very quick to be party to declarations and all of that. Implementation now is the problem. I would say that I must commend state houses of assembly across
Yes.
the country for gazetting the Child Rights Act,
Yeah.
although we also would see flaws, and it often is as if your hands are tied because there are religious and cultural beliefs that also often stifle some of the implementation of this. And what else do you think civil society can do? Because when you look at the Nigerian civil society space, it seems like we are overwhelmed. Where do you want to start in the advocacy? I mean, there's so much to address, especially you who is in the legal sector. I would like to hear when you're passing, you see a child who I would say is failed by government, because a child hawking on the street. Someone visited Abuja from the US one time and saw children trying to clean up the windshield and all of that, and he says this is a time bomb, and we are accommodating this in the FCT. These are children who should be enrolled in schools across the country. What are we doing? Government officials are watching this happen. These children will be easily indoctrinated, and you are watching this. What do you, how overwhelmed are you, and what have you been doing to ensure in your little space there's advocacy against that? Because for the girl child, that is where it begins.
Yes, that's where it begins. Being at the head of affairs at EntrustHer, we believe in the capacity of the girl child. We believe in the capacity of the Nigerian woman. We believe that true change cannot come in Nigeria without involving the woman or the girl child. I would say CSOs should increase their advocacy campaign when it can be intentional about the girl child, advocating for them. And there's nothing wrong with advocating for free education.
Absolutely.
Free education. There can be free education for children, because when you talk to the average child on the road, on the streets, you see hawking, or you talk to their parents who are there, you know, begging for alms, they'll tell you they don't have the funds to send the kids to school. So that is where government comes in. You can't be able to create policies that ensures that every child has access to education, and you create free educational system for children and give them the bare minimum.
I mean, I for one struggled. I remember speaking so loudly when the fuel subsidy was removed. Call me naive, call me naive and childish, but I wanted above everything that healthcare and education will be prioritized. These are sectors that have a quick ripple effect that you would see in society. But let's go back to the girl child, which is our focus for today. I was discussing before you came on air that Nigeria has a paltry 5% of female in leadership positions, political leadership positions. And we are discussing about countries like Rwanda that at the moment is enjoying 60% of women in leadership positions. It did not come overnight, absolutely. But when you look at the landscape, the political landscape in Nigeria, and the patriarchal nature of our men here, what do you think we need to do, even if it's soft ways or kinetic ways, to achieve this?
First of all, is to build your confidence as a woman. Equip yourself. There's a lot of clamor about gender equality in the political space, in every terrain, across all spheres in Nigeria, okay? And there is nothing wrong with clamoring for gender equality. But what I hear is I would say in my own words, gender preferential treatment.
Exactly.
Because you wouldn't tell me that if there is a vacant position and a male and female are vying for that position, if the male is well qualified, why should we give it to the female?
But well, they say for inclusive reasons.
No,
just to in America, there's often something they'll say inclusive equality and all of that. A quarter, not because you are particularly credible enough and have the experience, but because they know that there are communities that are marginalized that must be represented in all.
Yes, you must be represented, but you must be well represented. They are two different things.
So how can a Nigerian child who has been, almost suffocated by you can't do this, you can't do this, now get to that point where she has the experience like her male counterpart to, be represented, like you said, and also show capacity?
Like I said, it starts from the women. You mentor these girls, but you cannot give what you don't have. So you have to start by building yourself, equipping yourself for leadership positions like we advocate for in EntrustHer. You must be well equipped for leadership positions, because if you don't equip yourself, build your confidence, be mentally stable, because for you to lead, you must be mentally okay, trust me. And then you build your capacity, be knowledgeable about where you're going. Because if you don't have these basic skills, what you do is you go there and then you commit a blunder and shut the doors for others to walk through. And you make a mockery of the efforts that have been put in. Exactly. So it is not enough. Yes, we are clamoring for representation, but you must be well represented. They are two different things. I can send anybody to go and represent me, but if I want to be well represented, I need to send somebody who is capable to represent me, to be able to open those doors for these young girls to walk through in. Because you are trying to right a wrong, okay? You are trying to correct the narrative. And then in so doing, you need to mentor the girls. You cannot mentor the girls when you are not okay, when you don't have the capacity to do that.
So how important is it, in your work in EntrustHer, how important is it to also have conversations with the boy? Because they grow up feeling like the kings of the world, and this is ennobled not just by their fathers, but by their mothers as well, because their mothers had to watch their own mothers and grandmothers go through the same thing. How important is it to tell the man that at any time you have an opportunity to give to a girl who is qualified, please do that as well? And when you do have engagements like this, what is the reception you get?
Okay, when I do have engagements, I deliberately include the boy child.
Okay.
Because you cannot try to correct a narrative and not carry them along as he or she champions. Because in the future, they are still the people who will create the enabling environment for these girls to thrive, or for the girls to manifest what has been imbibed in them over time. So if you're not able to educate them on why it is necessary and for them to support the girl child, why it is necessary for them to see the girl child as equal partners in this journey, then we'll be missing it, because they also need to be prepared for what is ahead. If we must correct the narrative, honestly. So when we have programs or trainings or whatever, we include the boy child, because he needs to be there to listen, to also understand
the need for equality and inclusiveness.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we keep talking about how the girl child should also not become entitled. I'm a girl and so I should be given the space. But do we also have opportunities in mentorship by other women? We cannot sit here and say we are where we used to be. Of course, so much has changed. We have women who are championing in several sectors.
Absolutely.
Oil and gas, engineering, architecture. These are sectors you before now probably would think is male dominated and very masculine. But we also have mentors. But have we intentionally built a community of mentorship where I have gotten here, it wasn't a day's journey, it was tough, but I want to impact the experiences, the lessons from my experiences on the younger generation. Have you seen that rife in our country?
I would say there's a deficit of mentorship. as regards women. I see it more in the male folk than the women themselves. You see, sorry to say, women who gatekeep.
Yeah.
And women were our first limitation. Because when you have this thing of thinking, oh, if I mentor, or if she would
do more than I have done.
I mean, come on, the sky is big enough for everyone. So I think personally that there is a mentorship deficit in Nigeria with regards women mentoring young girls. Yes, there are certain individuals out there who are doing absolutely fine, but we need more, because these girls need to hear, and when they see you as a living example of what possibilities can be, then it makes the job easier. But when you are able to, when you just sit down and it is me, myself, and I,
yes.
I mean, come on, you have gone through your own journey. Why don't you inspire someone else to be able to go through? There's a young girl out there who is just waiting to hear your story, and that will be her liberation.
Exactly.
There's a young girl somewhere in the village somewhere who will be inspired by your journey, and that will give her hope to say, yes, I can become. Yes, I can overcome these obstacles. Yes, I can do it. And that is what we need, because that will first of all bring about courage and confidence in the young girl, which is very key for any young girl to thrive or to become. You must be able to build that confidence, and we need more women out there to invest in these young girls, in helping them to become all they can be.
Absolutely. So who comes up with these investments, and how intentional are we? I know when you leave Nigeria, for some of us in the development space, we are constantly talking about grants, and grants are bound.
Yeah.
There's a hiccup right now where the grants are not as, are not flowing as they used to be, but it hasn't stopped. However, with all that has been infused into the development space, in advocacy, in empowerment and all, have you seen that substantial difference where you say, because of the opportunity, the grants we have received, we see substantial difference in initiatives that have brought these girls together to say, let's do mentorship for them. We see the deficit, and has it shown, and how can we ensure moving forward that it does?
Personally, I don't think I see any change, so to say. Most times what you see is what is that empowerment, where you give a girl a pad, or you share rice and all that. In my own dictionary, that is not empowerment. What is empowerment? When you empower a woman, she becomes independent, self-sufficient, and then she can make constructive decisions concerning herself and her journey.
And those things you now give her, she can get for herself.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not downplaying it. Yes, it may be needed at that point in time, but that is not empowerment, so to say. For me, empowerment goes beyond that. It is not about giving pads or anything. So we need to be creative about the programs and initiatives we come up with, targeted at the deficit, mentorship, skill building, and equipping the girl child for what is ahead. It starts now, because for some of us, if we had started early, we would have gone far. Really, if we had seen mentorship, or if we had heard what we're hearing today, would have gone far.
True.
So if you have grants, it should be well targeted at solving what the problem is, not just cushioning the effect a bit, or just sharing whatever material stuff that you want to share, just
very
to cushion
transient things that after a month, it's gone. Your rice is gone.
For me, that's not empowerment.
The hygiene
it should be
that
those
you share would have gone.
Intangible things that helps build the capacity of the girl. That is what a proper initiative would do.
Okay, so let's move the conversation to EntrustHer event that's coming up soon to celebrate the International Women's Day.
Yes.
Right. Tell us all about it, how viewers can also participate in that, and also maybe what you need as resource for some people who may want to support the initiative?
Oh, absolutely. So EntrustHer in her usual way, looking for ways to impact and make meaningful change.
Okay.
The International Women's Day is celebrated every year, you know, across the world. And this year I sat down to rethink, because most times the focus is on women. And there's nothing wrong with that, absolutely. You know, putting together programs that are targeted at women. But for me, I decided to go the other route and focus on girls, because it's for all women and girls. And this year's theme is Rights, Justice, and Action.
Okay.
And so we put together a program in collaboration with the Turkish Cultural Institute in Abuja, the Turkish Embassy in Abuja, End Hunger Initiative, and Advocacy International School. So we came together to put out a program targeted at the young girl. The theme of the program is the Adalet Catalyst. Adalet is a Turkish name for justice. So is the Adalet Catalyst, and it's taking place on Monday, the 9th of March, 2026 at the Event Center, Advocacy International School. So the whole idea is to begin to educate our girls and also our boys about the rights of the girl child, what justice means to her in clear terms, in relatable terms, in everyday life. So the program is put together to teach them about their rights. The truth is, even an average person, an average Nigerian on the street doesn't even know what his or her rights are. So we need to start educating our young ones to begin to know their rights. Because when you know your rights, then you can place a demand from a place of strength. From a place of strength. So if you don't know your rights, then you can go whichever way you swing. So we're educating them about their rights, what justice means. There's going to be panel discussions. We're going to have the girls speak to us. You know, each time we put together programs, we are talking to the girls, you know, we are having keynotes and all that. Yes, there will be keynotes, but there is a special panel targeted at the girls, because we want to sit down and listen to them and hear their own thoughts on what they think rights, justice, and action means to them, and actually what they aspire to become and what they think should be done about it in Nigeria to give them a conducive environment. So that is going to be happening. It is open. I mean, anybody who feels he wants to be part of it is welcome. We welcome people. If you want to donate to the cause, we are also open to that. Absolutely, yes.
So you tagged the theme for this event is you said rights, justice, action for all women and girls. What came to mind when you thought of right? You just said that a lot of people don't even know their rights, and I know I had a conversation with a young girl who was arrested some time ago and brought to Abuja because her boyfriend was they were looking for her boyfriend, who obviously had committed some internet fraud. That's not important. However, she was brought from Delta State to Abuja, beaten and tortured to confess about where her boyfriend is, and she genuinely didn't know where her boyfriend was. Whether she knew or not, it wasn't in her place to do investigation. Like the Administration of Criminal Justice Act tells you, you don't arrest anyone in prosy. And this is one, but several other injustices that women and girls face. We've had instances where mothers are arrested because they're looking for their sons, and this is something that the law prohibits. Not to mention the bullying, the harassment that happens, and the girl child is like, I feel alone. I don't even know where to go, because law enforcement doesn't even know doesn't even know this right. So when you say you are trying to have a conversation about the rights, justice, and action for all women and girls, it's quite holistic. Community has to know before the girl can even speak up and say, I know this is my right. How do you hope to achieve, and what is your long-term goal? What do you envision the best case scenario in Nigeria would be? Should it be adopted across board?
Of course it should be adopted. I mean, anything advocacy, education can't be overemphasized. You keep learning until you die. So the basic principles, the fundamental human rights, they are basic to every citizen. They are your rights, and you need to know your rights. Okay? So teaching them about their rights is just the bare minimum, in my opinion. If the girl understands what her rights are, that she has a right to education, then she can advocate or she can demand for education. There's something about, you know, me advocating for you, and there's a difference, you know, in people hearing from you.
Exactly. That's absolutely true.
I can speak for you.
Yeah.
But it won't have the same effect as you
when
speaking
you come
for
out
yourself.
And say, this is my
and
truth.
then people, exactly, and people need to hear from you.
Absolutely.
So when girls understand what their rights are, there are some children who go back and teach their parents because their parents don't even know what rights are or what justice is.
True.
Justice to you may not be justice to me. Okay? But in clear terms, justice means fairness.
True.
It means fairness, to be fair to each other in our dealings. So I think it should be adopted in terms of educating, not just the girl child, even the boys themselves, about their rights and responsibilities,
right.
Because the rights comes with responsibilities. Okay? And that will help us have a fairer and more inclusive future.
Absolutely.
Because if they know their rights and responsibilities, you put them on their toes.
True.
To become responsible citizens.
True. You're very right. And my next question will be, have you had more people partner with you on this very laudable initiative that you're pulling? Because like they say, partnership is everything.
Absolutely.
So was a reception from people who need to work? And before you answer, we had a panel some time ago with media people and civil society, and the media people were like, excuse me, these civil society people are not serious people. They talk the talk. When push comes to shove and you bring them a child, they claim they are helping children. When push comes to shove and you bring them a child, they should, lend a voice to and assist. They are not open to it. But what kind of partnerships do you seek and do you have at the moment?
I have partnerships at the moment, like I said, from the Turkish Cultural Center and the Turkish Embassy, who have been of immense help lending their platform. And of course, at the program, there's also going to be a segment where they talk about the Turkish culture and how it promotes the girl child. Giving them a global view, giving the girls a global view of what rights and justice look like outside the shores of Nigeria, and then educating them about opportunities that are bound there. Because it's one thing to educate, it's another thing to be able to create opportunities for these girls to thrive. I mean, if you're opening up their eyes to become global citizens, you must look for opportunities that they can step into and begin to walk the walk. So yes, EntrustHer is open to collaborations. I mean, it takes a village to change a child, right? And one person cannot change the narrative overnight. I'm a strong believer of teamwork. I'm a strong believer of collaboration. So we're open to collaborations either from the media, from the diplomatic space, from partner CSOs and NGOs and individuals. We are open.
Okay, thank you so much for being part of the program. Joy, my namesake. Thank you for being part of the program. We really have run out of time, so this is where we end it. You really have to come back. There's so much more to unpack. Discussing the girl child and the women's rights. So much to unpack. But thank you for the work that you do, and I wish you all the best. Welcome. When is it again?
Monday 9th.
Monday 9th. That's the day after the International Women's Day.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Advocacy International Schools, Monday 9th. Exactly. Okay, thank you. Well done. We see at that event, 9th of March 2026. The venue is the event hall, Advocacy International Schools. We would see that. That's in Jahi, I see. Okay. Thank you again for that. This is where we end today's edition of Joy